So, imagine buying like a really high-end treadmill,
Okay, I'm picturing it.
and you just stick it right in the middle of your living room,
Right?
and you expect to magically get in shape just by staring at it.
Which is, obviously absurd.
It's totally absurd. I
Hmm.
mean, just having the equipment sitting there doesn't mean the work is actually being done.
No, of course not.
But looking at this massive stack of behavioral data and comprehensive notes we have today, that is almost exactly how people approach bringing one of the most intelligent dog breeds in the world into their homes.
Yeah, it really is. And, we all fall into this trap.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
You decide you want a dog, you do the research, you memorize all the health stats.
You study the breed characteristics.
Right, exactly. And you think you have a total handle on it. But knowing the textbook facts doesn't actually tell you what an ordinary Tuesday feels like.
And that gap right there between the textbook and the Tuesday is precisely where the friction happens.
Yeah, that disconnect.
When you dive into the reality of living with a highly intelligent, really emotionally sensitive breed like the poodle, a super clear pattern emerges from the data.
Which is what we're digging into today.
Right. And the mismatch between humans and these dogs, it rarely stems from a lack of love. It almost always comes from a lack of vividly picturing the daily reality of that specific animal before committing to them.
Because you picture a beautiful Sunday afternoon
Right.
playing fetch at the park in the sunshine.
But you forget the reality of a freezing, rainy Tuesday morning.
Yes. When you're already like 10 minutes late for work and the dog still desperately needs its brain stimulated.
Exactly.
So for you, the listener, whether you are actively prepping to bring a poodle home or you're just wildly curious about what it actually takes to live alongside a breed famous for its sheer brain power, that is our mission for this deep dive.
We are taking the textbook stats and bridging them straight to the grit of everyday life.
Okay, let's unpack this. And I really want to start with the physical space.
Yeah.
Because there is this massive, super pervasive myth out there that a big dog automatically needs a big house.
Ah, yeah, the space illusion. It's usually the very first hurdle prospective owners stumble over.
It makes sense why they do, though.
It does. People look at the four walls around them and assume those physical boundaries dictate the success of the relationship, but breaking down the facts, particularly looking at the toy and miniature varieties, dogs that have a much smaller physical footprint,
Right.
they actually do incredibly well in apartments.
I mean, that tracks for smaller dogs.
It does, but the crucial caveat is that their exercise and mental needs still have to be met. A smaller physical size doesn't just translate to a smaller mental requirement.
So apartment living is really about managing the space you have, not magically shrinking the dog's underlying needs.
Precisely.
But, what really jumped out at me in these sources is that even a standard poodle, the big athletic ones, can adapt to an apartment setting.
Yeah, that surprises a lot of people.
I totally assumed putting a dog that size in a smaller space was basically a recipe for behavioral disaster. But the data says it actually works, provided there is deliberate, intentional effort from the owner to compensate for the lack of a backyard.
What's fascinating here is how often we conflate physical space with physical activity.
Oh, that's a great point.
They aren't the same thing at all.
Hmm.
You can easily have a standard poodle living in a sprawling suburban house with a massive fenced-in backyard.
The dream setup, basically.
Right, but if the human is inactive, that dog is far worse off than a toy poodle living in a tiny studio apartment with a highly engaged owner.
Which brings me right back to that treadmill analogy.
Yeah.
Having a huge yard for your dog is essentially like having that treadmill.
Yes, exactly.
That dog isn't going to go outside and invent a cardio routine or a mental enrichment puzzle for itself just because the grass exists.
Yeah.
The space is completely useless if you aren't out there utilizing it with them.
And that same logic applies to where that yard is located too. We see this constant debate over urban versus rural environments for dogs.
Oh yeah, city versus country living.
The reality is neither environment is inherently better or worse for a poodle. They just present different gaps that you, the owner, have to intentionally fill.
So if you live in a dense, noisy city, you have this built-in socialization mechanism. You step outside and there are sirens, crowds, other dogs, weird smells everywhere.
It's sensory overload.
Yeah, and because poodles are bred to be so intensely intelligent, they actually tend to appreciate that kind of novelty. It works their brain just walking down the block.
The urban environment provides that stimulation automatically, so your job as the owner kind of shifts to managing that sensory input.
Making sure they don't freak out.
Right, you have to ensure it doesn't become overwhelming. But conversely, Look at the rural environment.
Wide open spaces.
You have all the physical space in the world, and generally a lot less scheduled structure, but that country setting naturally lacks the frequent social exposure that a developing poodle desperately needs.
Oh, I see.
If you live out in the country and you don't intentionally pack your dog up and seek out structured social exposure, you run a very high risk of confidence issues developing in the dog.
So a rural dog might actually end up more anxious than a city dog simply because it hasn't leaned the world.
Exactly.
The environment's success is totally dependent on the owner's daily routine, not the zip code. But let's play out that routine in the real world. Predictability in an apartment or a quiet house is one thing, but how does this intense dependency on the owner's routine survive a standard human work schedule?
That's the big question.
Looking at this data, I'm going to make a hard deduction here. If this breed is as emotionally sensitive as the sources claim, a busy professional working a demanding 9-to-5 job probably has no business getting one.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you'd just be setting the dog and yourself up for a totally miserable experience.
Well, the data actually challenges that deduction, but, and this is important, with some very strict conditions.
Okay, I'm listening.
It is manageable for busy people, provided they completely rethink how they structure their time. We are talking about a breed with remarkably high emotional sensitivity here.
Right.
You absolutely cannot bring a poodle home, spend a cozy long weekend with it, and then suddenly vanish for 9 hours on a Monday morning.
That sounds like a disaster.
It is. Rushing them into long stretches of alone time creates severe behavioral fallout. Their tolerance for being alone has to be built up very gradually over a period of weeks.
But wait, even if you successfully build up that tolerance, you're still leaving a highly intelligent animal completely alone for a huge chunk of the day.
True, but the quiet middle of the day isn't actually the enemy here.
It isn't.
No. Dogs can sleep through a workday. The success of balancing a poodle with a demanding career hinges entirely on what behavioral experts call the edges of the day. So, your mornings and your evenings.
The bookends of your schedule.
Exactly. If your morning routine consists of rushing out the door, giving the dog a hurried 5-minute potty break,
Basically my current morning routine.
and then you come home exhausted at 6 p.m. and just passively sit on the couch while the dog lies on the floor, that model will absolutely fail.
The dog is going to lose its mind.
Yes. Those edges of the day have to be intentionally packed with intense physical activity and genuine mental connection. You are basically concentrating their engagement into those specific windows.
And the sources emphasize that breaking up the middle of the day makes a massive difference too, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's you popping home for lunch or hiring a dog walker just to break up the monotony.
It's highly recommended.
But the logistics of making this work definitely change based on the size of the dog. I mean, a busy professional with a toy poodle is objectively going to have an easier time managing those logistics.
Without a doubt.
The walks are shorter, the physical footprint is smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a standard, you have to deliberately plan to meet much higher exercise needs around those work hours. You might be waking up an hour or two earlier every single day.
It requires prioritizing the dog's needs in a way that will fundamentally alter your weekday schedule. A standard poodle's athleticism means you cannot shortcut those morning and evening sessions without seeing real behavioral consequences.
Okay, so you've mapped out the space. You've accepted that your mornings and evenings belong to the dog now. You think you've got this Tuesday routine totally locked down.
You're feeling good about it.
Yeah, but here's where it gets really interesting. There is a massive hidden time sink lurking in this daily routine that catches almost everyone completely off guard. We have to talk about the reality of grooming.
Oh, grooming. This is unequivocally where the biggest gap between expectation and reality lies for new owners.
It's kind of wild how much people underestimate it.
They really do. Prospective owners research the breed, they see that elegant coat in pictures, and they just think, oh, I'll just budget for a groomer once a month.
Right. They treat dog grooming like getting a car washed.
That's a perfect way to put it.
You drive it in, it's dirty, you pay someone else to handle it, it comes out clean, and you literally don't think about it again for another month.
But based on the mechanics of a poodle's coat, grooming isn't a car wash at all.
It's like doing laundry or meal prep. It is a recurring, inescapable rhythm of your household that you have to actively participate in.
Prospective owners often only picture the beautifully styled, finished look. They completely ignore the gritty reality of the maintenance underneath it all.
A daily grind of it.
Yeah. The professional groom, which needs to happen every 4 to 6 weeks, that's just the baseline. That alone requires an ongoing financial commitment and a scheduling commitment that you have to factor into your life for the next 10 to 15 years.
But the part that truly shocks people is the at-home requirement. The sources are incredibly clear on this. Preventing matting in their coat requires at-home brushing several times a week at an absolute minimum.
Yes.
You can't just skip a week because work was stressful.
You really can't. Brushing a poodle isn't a passive activity either. It requires your time, your focus, and the dog's cooperation.
The whole event.
It is.
Yeah.
If you aren't prepared to integrate thorough brushing down to the skin into your weekly routine, literally treating it with the same non-negotiable discipline as folding laundry, the dog's health and comfort will actively suffer.
Because matting isn't just ugly, it's painful, right?
Exactly. Matting pulls on the skin and creates real physical distress for the animal.
So you aren't just buying a dog, you're taking on a part-time job as an assistant groomer.
That's a very fair assessment.
So you've optimized the apartment. You're waking up at 5:30 a.m. to exercise them before your commute. You're brushing them down on Tuesday and Thursday nights like absolute clockwork. You have built this perfect closed system.
But life isn't a closed system.
Exactly. What happens when you throw the chaotic variables of everyday life into this highly structured mix? I'm talking toddlers running around, cats darting across the room, neighborhood noise. Do they just completely short circuit?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the breed's intellect really shines.
Oh, really?
Generally speaking, they are excellent with children. Standards, in particular, act as this steady, grounding presence in an active household.
That's reassuring.
They possess this remarkable ability to read and match the room's energy. If it's a quiet Sunday morning, they are calm and totally unobtrusive. If the kids are running around the living room being utterly chaotic, the dog becomes playful to match that pitch.
That's amazing. And the toys and minis have that exact same adaptable temperament, right? But the sources emphasize they need supervision with kids purely due to their physical size.
Yes, it's purely a structural issue.
Because a toddler can accidentally trip over a small dog and seriously injure it. So it's about preventing accidental trauma due to fragility, not because the smaller dogs have, sharper personality.
Exactly right. And when it comes to other pets, particularly cats, which is a huge point of anxiety for a lot of people blending households, poodles are highly compatible if they are given proper patient introductions.
Because they're so smart.
They are exceptional at reading social cues, whether those cues come from a human or a feline.
That really makes me wonder about how their brains process all this. I mean, a dog bred for such high intelligence,
Yeah.
how do they handle all that external stimuli without getting totally overwhelmed? Because they definitely have a reputation for being vocal.
They do. And you have to remember their historical background here. These dogs were bred for centuries to work closely alongside humans in varied, super unpredictable environments.
Right. They were working dogs.
That working history makes them incredible at observing and adjusting to their surroundings. But, and this is a crucial element to understand, that same intellect means they require constant mental engagement.
Ah, so if you ignore their brain, they find their own outlet.
They will use their voice to let you know they are bored.
They just yell at you.
Basically, yes. Excessive barking in this breed is very rarely just an unavoidable, baked-in trait. It is almost always a glaring sign of boredom or frustration.
That's so interesting.
If they were understimulated, they will become vocal about every single tiny noise outside the window. But if you are actively meeting their need for mental engagement, that excessive barking meaningfully reduces.
So the barking is a symptom of a disengaged owner, not a broken dog. That's a fascinating reframe.
It puts the responsibility back on us.
Now, this ability to read the room and adapt to chaos is amazing when you're sitting in your own living room. But how does that deep emotional sensitivity hold up when you completely strip away the familiar routine? Say you have to travel for work or you want to take a family vacation.
Again, that working history makes them highly adaptable travel companions, provided they have been well socialized from a young age.
Okay, so they can hit the road.
They can, but their emotional sensitivity heavily dictates how you travel with them.
Yeah.
You can't just throw them in the backseat of a car and wing it.
You can't just hope for the best.
No, you have to maintain a consistent routine on the road. Keeping feeding times and rest periods exactly the same as they are at home is absolutely essential to keeping their stress levels low.
Logistically, a toy poodle is obviously much easier to travel with.
Mm.
You can take a small dog in a carrier on a plane or easily tuck them into a small hotel room. A standard requires some serious space planning in a vehicle and limits where you can stay.
Yes, the logistics change entirely.
But emotionally, whether they are small or large, they all need the exact same consistency. But what if you can't take them with you? I'm deducing you can't just drop a dog with this level of emotional sensitivity off at a busy kennel at the last minute and expect them to bounce back instantly.
You definitely cannot. Boarding a dog like this requires serious, intentional preparation.
You have to ease them into it.
Respecting their sensitivity means you have to do gradual introductions to the boarding facility or the caregiver well in advance. You need to do short trial stays before a long absence. Preparation is everything here.
It's an investment in their mental health.
It really is. If you do the groundwork, showing them that this new place is safe, it pays off massively in their long-term stability. If you surprise them with a sudden week-long absence in a strange, loud place, you are going to induce a staggering amount of unnecessary stress.
It's entirely about managing the transitions for them.
Mm-hmm.
So taking all these pieces together, you've got the space requirements and realizing it's about effort, not square footage.
Right.
You've got the intense 9 to 5 schedule management, the relentless laundry-like grooming routine, balancing the kids and the cats, and the meticulous travel logistics.
A lot to weigh.
It is. So what does this all mean? How do you actually make the final choice about whether this breed is right for you?
It means making a choice based on an honest inventory of your life, not a romanticized version of it. The sources actually confirm they are phenomenal dogs for first-time owners.
Which is genuinely surprising. You'd assume such a smart, sensitive, super high-maintenance dog would be strictly for experts or professional trainers.
You would think so, but they are great for beginners, but only if those first-time owners have completely realistic expectations about the grooming and the mental and physical engagement required.
Realistic being the key word there.
Exactly. Choosing between a toy, mini, or standard is just about mapping the dog to your actual resources. A toy fits smaller spaces and lighter routines.
A mini is sort of the versatile middle ground.
And a standard demands more space, more time, and a highly active lifestyle to burn off that athletic energy.
The most common mistake the experts point to in these sources is falling in love with the idea of the dog.
Oh, constantly.
You fall in love with the elegance, the reputation for being brilliant, the beautiful coat. But you don't vividly picture the mundane reality of meticulously brushing them on a tired Thursday night when you just want to watch TV.
Yeah.
Or the daily emotional attentiveness they absolutely demand from you.
And that right there is the crucial shift in perspective for anyone considering this breed. The effort you put into this dog, the grooming, the exercise, the constant mental engagement, it isn't a chore or a burden that you layer on top of your relationship with the pet.
Right.
That effort is the relationship. They notice your involvement, they respond to your consistency, and they bond with you through that shared work.
It's not just a pet you dump kibble in a bowl for and pat on the head on your way out the door.
Mm.
It is a deeply active partnership.
Mm.
Living with this breed genuinely rewards daily involvement in a way few other animals do.
It really does. And, if we look at the totality of what we've unpacked today, I think it leaves us with a really fascinating, almost philosophical question to consider.
Oh, I like where this is going.
We selectively bred these dogs for centuries to be highly intelligent, deeply attentive working partners. We explicitly bred them to read our social cues and reflect the energy of the room back to us.
Yep.
Because they are so emotionally sensitive, and because they demand such consistent mental engagement and presence from us, maybe bringing a dog like this into your life isn't just about managing their routine.
It's a mirror.
Does a dog that requires you to be this attentive actually force us to put down our phones, step away from our digital distractions, and become more present, attentive humans in our own daily lives?
Wow. If you want an animal that's going to hold you accountable to being truly present in the moment, that is the ultimate Ordinary Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you for listening. Keep asking the right questions.